Hello, my dear students. So, today we will start our new chapter respiration and energy transfer. Okay, now here respiration and energy transfer. So, first of all, the definition of respiration. So, here it can be defined as an intercellular process of oxidation in which complex organic substances are broken down in stepwise manner with the release of energy which is immediately converted into metabolic usable form of energy, and that is called ATP. Chemically, ATP is triphosphate ester of adenosine ribonucleoside. ATP is the currency of energy. I think everybody know the full form of ATP, adenosine triphosphate. Now, site of ATP synthesis, where exactly the synthesis of ATP takes place. So, the site is mitochondria. That's why it is also called as a powerhouse of the cell. Now, here this is the detailed structure of mitochondria. Here you can see that mitochondria is double membrane bound cell organelles. Here you can see this one is the outer membrane, this one is inner membrane. In between that is the intermembrane space is there. Okay. Now, outer membrane is smooth, tightly stretched, while the inner membrane give rise to a finger-like projections that is called cristae. Here you can see this is the cristae, finger-like foldings, projections, inner membrane. So that form the cristae. Now each cristae they bears numerous tagged particles called F1 particles. Here you can see small dot like structure on the cristae, isn't it? See the small dot like structures on the cristae. So these are the F1 particles, or they are also called as oxysomes. Now electron carriers of ETS and enzymes required for ATP synthesis are located on the body of these oxysomes or F1 particles. Fine. And thus the oxidative phosphorylation, that is synthesis of ATP during respiration, takes place on oxysomes. So this is the little bit brief information about the mitochondrial structure, okay, where exactly the synthesis of ATP takes place. Now, overview of cellular respiration. In 10th class also you have studied there is a different pathways for the breakdown of the glucose, isn't it? So here you can see that respiration involves the biological oxidation of complex organic food, so complex carbohydrate, okay, into the simple substance with the release of energy. Now here the primary process of respiration is the breakdown of complex higher carbohydrate into the simpler form such as glucose. Now this from glucose, that is again broken down into two molecules of pyruvic acid, and this breakdown from glucose to pyruvic acid takes place in cytoplasm of the cell. Fine. And this process of conversion of glucose to pyruvic acid is called glycolysis. Now, further, the fate of pyruvic acid or pyruvate depend upon the absence or presence of oxygen. If the oxygen is present, that is aerobic respiration, the end product will be CO2 and H2O. And if the oxygen is absent, anaerobic process, so in this case C2H5OH and carbon dioxide is produced as a end product. So first of all, we will study about the glycolysis. Glycolysis is nothing but the conversion of glucose into the pyruvic acid in cytoplasm. Okay, and that whole process is called glycolysis. Now here we will study the detail all the steps that involves in the glycolysis. Now this glycolysis is the first major process in the mechanism of aerobic respiration. It is an anaerobic process since it is independent of oxygen. It takes place in cytoplasm, but glycolysis takes place in cytoplasm. Okay. Now, it is a common pathway for both aerobic and anaerobic because the first conversion from glucose to pyruvic acid is common, and later whether the oxygen is present or not, then there is a different pathways. So glycolysis is common for both aerobic and anaerobic. Now this glycolysis, it is also called as EMP pathway. Why? Because three scientists, Emden, Meyerhoff and Paranas, these three scientists, they worked out on this glycolysis whole process. They gave this whole pathway. So that's why it is also called as EMP pathway. Now glycolysis consists of two major phases. So first one is preparatory phase and the second one is oxidative phase. So first one is a preparatory phase. This is from first to fifth step of this glycolysis. From here to here, this is the preparatory phase, and then from sixth step to 10th step up to here is the oxidative phase. Fine. So one by one we will go into the detail. The first one is the preparatory phase, this one. Preparatory phase. Now here preparatory phase, or it is also and even the cleavage we call that. So it is the initial phase of the glycolysis in which glucose molecule is activated by phosphorylation. Here you can see here by phosphorylation and then cleaved into two molecules of triose phosphate, namely 3-phosphoglyceraldehyde. Here you can see that glucose is converted into 3-phosphoglyceraldehyde. Fine. So from glucose to 3-PGAL, this whole process is the preparatory phase. So one by one. The first one is a phosphorylation. Here this one is a phosphorylation. Glucose molecule undergo phosphorylation with the help of ATP molecule. Here you can see ATP is utilized. Okay, it occurs in the presence of enzyme hexokinase. The first step here, the enzyme is hexokinase and the cofactor magnesium. In this reaction, then it will form glucose to glucose 6-phosphate. What it will form? Glucose to glucose 6-phosphate. Now next is the isomerization. Here this is phosphorylation, then isomerization. Now glucose 6-phosphate will convert it into the isomer, namely the fructose 6-phosphate. Here fructose 6-phosphate, and this occurs in the presence of the enzyme phosphoglucoisomerase. Okay. Then come to the next one, phosphorylation 2. Here this one is the phosphorylation 2. First phosphorylation is here, then second one is here. Now during this, fructose 6-phosphate will convert into fructose 1,6-diphosphate. Okay, and here also the utilization of 1 ATP molecule. 1 ATP is utilized here. So these three steps up to here, whatever we have, that described as the preparatory phase of the glycolysis, isn't it? Up to here, because fructose 1,6-diphosphate further cleavage here into DHAP and PGAL. Fine. So what happened? This fructose 1,6-diphosphate, it will split into, that is the 3-phosphoglyceraldehyde PGAL, and DHAP is a dihydroxyacetone phosphate. Fine. And this reaction is called the cleavage and occur in the presence of enzyme here presence of enzyme aldolase. Now, the triose phosphate means 3-PGAL and DHAP, these two, 3-PGAL and DHAP are isomers of each other and are interconvertible. Here you can see interconvertible like this. Now DHAP is converted into 3-PGAL with the help of the enzyme phosphotriose isomerase, and thus respiratory substrate is now in the form of two molecules of PGAL. Here you can see two molecules of PGAL, this one. Okay. So now we got the two molecules of PGAL. Now from here oxidative phase will start. First one is the preparatory phase, isn't it? Now next is the oxidative or the payoff phase. Now here, in the presence of the enzyme phosphoglyceraldehyde dehydrogenase, 3-PGAL undergo dehydrogenation. Okay. Simultaneously it undergo phosphorylation also. Then inorganic phosphates get incorporated to give 1,3-dipga. This one, 1,3-dipga. During this reaction, coenzyme NAD, this NAD, you can see convert into NADH2, takes up the hydrogen and get reduced to NADH2. Then from two molecules of PGL, we are getting 1,3-dipga. Now this 1,3-diphosphoglyceric acid, dipga, is converted into 3-PGA here. Fine. By removal of the phosphate group. So this converts into 3-PGA by removal of the phosphate group, and this phosphate combines to ADP. Here you can see two molecules of ATP are produced. So this phosphate will add up in the ADP to form the adenosine triphosphate, and the reaction takes place in the presence of enzyme phosphoglycerokinase. And now we got 3-PGA. Fine. After that, next is the isomerization. Now here the enzyme phosphoglyceromutase brings about the conversion of 3-PGA to 2-PGA. Okay. And in this reaction, phosphate group is shifted from the third carbon atom to the second carbon atom, and we are getting the 2-PGA here. Now this 2-PGA will undergo dehydration, removal of water molecule, here you can see. Okay, and then it will form PEPA, phosphoenol pyruvic acid, and the enzyme is enolase. Here the enzyme is enolase. This will catalyze the reaction in the presence of magnesium ion, and one water molecule is released, dehydrogenation, isn't it? Now after this, phosphoenol pyruvic acid will give rise to pyruvate, two molecules of pyruvate, final end product of the glycolysis, and here also you can see two ATP molecules are produced. So two molecules of ATP here and two molecules of ATP we are producing here in this whole glycolysis process. Ultimately, what we are getting, that is pyruvate, two molecules of pyruvate from here, the glucose. The starting one is glucose. So one glucose molecule is converted into two molecules of pyruvate at the end of the glycolysis, as each reaction in the oxidative and payoff phase occur twice, means this one, second step, this will occur twice, oxidative phase. Okay, therefore two molecules are generated. Here you can see two molecules of ATP are generating here and two molecules are generating here, total 4 molecules of ATP, and 2 molecules of NADH2. Where it is? This one. 2 molecules of NADH2 are also produced. So here we can say 4 molecules of ATP are produced and 2 molecules of NADH2 are produced. Even we have used also here 1 molecule and 1 means 2 molecules of ATP we have used. So this is overall glycolysis which takes place in the cytoplasm, and this step is common for both aerobic and anaerobic respiration. Fine. This is also called as EMP pathway because the 3 scientists they worked on this, that is Emden, Meyerhoff and Paranas. Fine. So this is all about the glycolysis. Now next is a acetylation. Now what is this acetylation? Actually, pyruvic acid will undergo oxidative decarboxylation. Here you can see. See, whatever the 2 pyruvate that are produced end product of the glycolysis here will undergo oxidative decarboxylation before entering into the Krebs cycle. Now, removal of carbon dioxide, here you can see removal of carbon dioxide along with the oxidation of removal of hydrogen takes place, and the reaction is catalyzed by pyruvic dehydrogenase enzyme. And one more thing, coenzyme NAD, this one, and coenzyme A, these two, coenzyme NAD and coenzyme A required for this reaction. For this reaction, which one? For acetylation. So pyruvic acid undergo decarboxylation, that carbon dioxide is released, and then oxidation by removal of hydrogen, and which is taken up by, that hydrogen will be taken up by the NAD. So it will form NADH2. And acetyl fraction that remains after decarboxylation is taken up by the coenzyme A to form acetyl coenzyme A. So this whole process, decarboxylation, formation of NADH2, formation of acetyl coenzyme A, is called acetylation of pyruvate. Pyruvate is the end product of glycolysis, isn't it? Now here the glycolysis ends with the formation of pyruvate, and food enters as acetyl coenzyme in the Krebs cycle. So therefore formation of acetyl coenzyme A or acetylation of pyruvate is called connecting link between glycolysis and Krebs cycle. So this acetylation is nothing but the connecting link between the glycolysis and Krebs cycle. And this whole process, we can see this is a diagrammatic representation of acetylation. Okay. Now after this we will study about the Krebs cycle. This one is also called as a TCA cycle, tricarboxylic acid cycle, or citric acid cycle. Fine. Now this whole process through which acetyl coenzyme is completely oxidized and carbon dioxide is released in stepwise manner is called Krebs cycle. And it is the second phase of the aerobic respiration. And this Krebs cycle occurs in matrix of mitochondria in the presence of several enzymes and coenzymes. During this phase, coenzyme NAD and FAD take up the hydrogen removed during oxidation step, and they will become NADH2 and FADH2. So here the first stable compound of Krebs cycle is citric acid or citrate. Here you can see the first stable compound of Krebs cycle is citrate or citric acid. That's why it is also called as citric acid cycle, okay, or tricarboxylic acid cycle. And various reaction of this TCA, Krebs cycle or tricarboxylic acid cycle, were discovered by Sir Hans Krebs. That's why they have given the name Krebs cycle. The name of the scientist is the Sir Hans Krebs. Fine. Now here the major reactions of the Krebs cycles: condensation, isomerization, oxidation, decarboxylation, oxidative decarboxylation, and hydration, phosphorylation, then oxidation, then hydration, then oxidation. So such type of things. In detail I will explain each and everything. So we will start from the condensation, the first one. Here the acetyl, you can see here, this is the pyruvic acid, okay. Then this is the acetylation process. We got the acetyl coenzyme A. This is the connecting link between the glycolysis and the Krebs cycle. I already explained this one. Now this acetyl coenzyme A, fine, react with oxaloacetate, okay, present in the matrix of the mitochondria, and the citrate is the first stable compound. Citrate synthetase here the enzyme, and the first stable compound is citrate. This citrate here, after the citrate, here you can see the one water molecule is released during this reaction, and the enzyme is citrate synthetase, okay. Now coenzyme A thus relieved and recycled for the acetylation. यहाँ पर you can see this relieved and again available for the acetyl coenzyme A. Here this one again available for the acetyl coenzyme A, recycled. Now citric acid gets converted into, this citrate or the citric acid will convert into cis aconitate. Here this one, cis aconitate. In the presence of enzyme, here aconitase enzyme and iron. See here you can see aconitase enzyme and iron. This happen in two steps. First dehydration, removal of water molecule, isn't it? Here you can see. And after this cis aconitate combines with water molecule. Further here you can see this water molecule is add up in the cis aconitate to form the isocitrate. Presence of enzyme aconitase and here iron. Now this isocitrate will convert into oxalosuccinate, and here you can see NAD will get form the NADH, isn't it? NAD will form NADH2, and here the enzyme is isocitrate dehydrogenase and in the manganese, presence of manganese. Now after this oxalosuccinate will convert into alpha glutarate by the decarboxylation, removal of carbon dioxide. Here you can see removal of carbon dioxide, and here the enzyme is decarboxylase. Alpha ketoglutarate is formed. This is alpha ketoglutarate is formed. Fine. Now from here it will goes out of the mitochondria. Alpha ketoglutarate will go out of the mitochondria. Now here alpha ketoglutarate undergo oxidative decarboxylation and decarboxylation. See carbon dioxide is released, NAD will form NADH2. Here you can see NAD will form NADH2. Carbon dioxide is released, and during this reaction this is released and goes out of the mitochondria. The hydrogen removed from the substrate will be accepted by NAD to form NADH2, and then succinyl coenzyme A here, okay, succinyl coenzyme A is formed. Now the enzyme alpha ketoglutarate dehydrogenase catalyzes this reaction, and this reaction is very much similar to the link reaction. Here you can see again that's recreating and coming back, acetyl coenzyme A coming back to this one, recycling. Fine. Now this succinyl coenzyme A, what will happen to this? This succinyl coenzyme A gets hydrated. Here this one gets hydrated using a molecule of water, and succinate is formed. This one succinate is formed. Now energy liberated during this reaction is used in the formation of GTP from GDP, okay, and GTP is relatively unstable as compared to ATP. So here you can see the ATP molecules is produced from ADP and inorganic phosphate. It will give ATP. The reaction taking place in the presence of enzyme succinate thiokinase. Yeah, this one. Here the succinate thiokinase. And ATP synthesis produced by substrate here is called substrate level phosphorylation. Now in this step, that is succinate is oxidized by dehydrogenation to form fumarate. Now the hydrogen removed in this reaction is reduced, and that hydrogen will be accepted by FAD to form FADH2. And this reaction is catalyzed by succinate dehydrogenase enzyme. Now fumarate accept the water molecule. Here you can see the water molecule is added by the fumarate. The fumarate will accept the water molecule and it will form malate here. And this occurs in the presence of enzyme fumarase. Then malate is oxidized by removal of hydrogen, and that hydrogen will be accepted by NAD to form NADH2. In the presence of enzyme malate dehydrogenase, it will form oxaloacetate. Fine. And then again the oxaloacetate will combine with acetyl coenzyme A. Here you can see acetyl coenzyme A, and then it will form the first stable compound citrate or the citric acid. So in this way the cycle will continue. So here you can see that two molecules of pyruvate, here this one, the two molecules of pyruvate are formed at the end of the glycolysis. So therefore Krebs cycle is repeated twice, because you have seen in the glycolysis the one glycolysis will give the two molecules of pyruvate. So for the two molecules of pyruvate, what happened? That whole Krebs cycle will occur twice, isn't it? Now the two turns of Krebs cycle produce the how many molecules of NADH2? So the two cycle, okay, of Krebs, two complete cycle of Krebs cycle, two turns of Krebs cycle will produce 6 molecules of NADH2, okay, 2 molecules of FADH2 and 2 molecules of ATP. So this is the end product, or we can get the energy. How much energy by the end of the Krebs cycle? 6 molecules of NADH2, 2 molecules of FADH2 and 2 molecules of ATP. Isn't it? See, you can see one NADH2 is here, one NADH2 is here, and one NADH2 is here. 1, 2, and this is 3. 3 in one turn. So 2 turn means 6 NADH2. Fine. FADH2 here. So 1 FADH2 in one turn. So 2 turns, so 2 FADH2. And 2 ATP. Here you can see the 1 ATP is formed here. So 1 ATP in one turn. So if the 2 turns are there, 2 ATP molecules. Fine. So this is all about the Krebs cycle or TCA cycle or citric acid cycle. So the next is the amphibolic pathway. What is the meaning of this amphibolic pathway term? This term is used to describe a biochemical pathway that involves both catabolism and anabolism. So that pathway is called the amphibolic pathway. In the respiration process, all the complex compounds like protein and fats break down into the simpler form and they produce ATP. Fine. Now both these compounds break down into acetyl coenzyme A, and then the respiration process continues. So this part of the respiration is termed as catabolism, and the pathway is a catabolic pathway. However, respiration not only includes the breaking of molecules but also form compounds. When an organism needs protein or fatty acid, then what happens? The respiratory pathway hold the process and they produce acetyl coenzyme A, which is used to create fatty acids. Hence, synthesis of fatty acid is an example of anabolism. So, catabolism and anabolism, when any pathway will perform both the things, catabolism and anabolism, that is called amphibolic pathway. You know that Krebs cycle is the best example of this amphibolic pathway. Now come to the next, electron transport system or ETS. Fine. It is also called as terminal oxidation. So this is a diagrammatic representation of the ETS. Here, first of all, during glycolysis and the Krebs cycle, respiratory substrates are oxidized at each, or we can say at several steps, and this occurs by the removal of hydrogen, that is dehydrogenation. Now this hydrogen is accepted by coenzymes. Mostly, what are that coenzyme? NAD and FAD to form, means they reduce to NADH2 and FADH2 respectively. Now such coenzymes are converted back to their oxidized form. So the hydrogen removed from the reduced coenzyme is released again into the matrix of mitochondria. Now this H2 hydrogen reacts with atmospheric oxygen. Here this is the atmospheric oxygen to form water molecule, and this is called metabolic water. This is the end product of ETS, electron transport system. Okay. Now here we can start that, and this also include FMN. One more thing is there, this FMN. What is this FMN? FMN is flavin mononucleotide. And what is FAD? You should know the full forms of all these. FAD is flavin adenine dinucleotide. Fine. Now this electron system includes FMN as the coenzyme, coenzyme Q. Here you can see coenzyme Q, and this is this one coenzyme Q, and this is also coenzyme Q, reduction and oxidation. Okay. And there are a number of electron acceptor, or we can say electron carrier, that is cytochrome B, cytochrome C1, cytochrome C, cytochrome A, A3. These all are the electron acceptors. And these cytochromes are the iron containing compound. These cytochromes are iron containing compounds. So iron keeps oscillating between the ferric and ferrous. When electrons are taken up by, here you can see NAD that reduced to NADH2, FAD will reduce to FADH2, FMN will reduce to FMNH2, and again they are recreating the same thing substrate, isn't it? Now here when the electron is released, you can see the two electrons and the proton also released from here, coenzyme quinone, and here also coenzyme quinone. So when the electron is released, and that is accepted by cytochrome, isn't it? So when electrons are taken up by the cytochrome, ferric compound get reduced to ferrous. As I already said that cytochromes are iron containing compounds. So ferric compounds get reduced to ferrous, and it gives the electron to the next cytochrome. जैसे वो ferric से ferrous convert, that gives the electron, this electron, to the next acceptor, that is cytochrome C. But here you can see one ATP molecule is produced. Then this cytochrome C, this one again will shift or transfer the electron to the next cytochrome, that is A to A3. Okay, and here also when they give, then it get reduced to ferrous as it gives the electron to the next cytochrome. In the chain, it get oxidized to ferric. So the final acceptor of the electron is this atmospheric oxygen. Here you can see the final acceptor of this electron is oxygen, isn't it? Atmospheric oxygen. And here also you can see that one ATP molecule is produced from the inorganic phosphate. So here ATP is produced, here ATP is produced. Fine. Now various electron carriers are arranged on the body of the oxysome. Oxysome, you know, where on the cristae there are number of oxysomes are present. So here NAD being the first, अगर आप देखेंगे यहाँ पर this NAD is the first substrate. If that starts, it reduced to NADH2, ATP is formed, then again FMN received by FMN, it reduced to FMNH2, then coenzyme quinone, then cytochrome and this. So if that starts with a NAD, it will produce 3 ATP, 1, 2 and 3. But if it starts with FAD, flavin adenine dinucleotide, then in this case there is only 2 ATP molecules are produced, one and this one 2, second, not this one only in the case of substrate where it starts with NAD. Okay, now the electron passes through the electron transport system so that the electron acceptors get oxidized and reduced alternately, and they move along the FMN, coenzyme Q, cytochrome B, C, C1A, A3, and finally the proton. Here you can see I have explained that electron is released and even the proton. So this proton is released in the mitochondrial matrix, and finally 2 electron will accepted by this atmospheric oxygen, and which joins with this 2 protons also, 2 hydrogen. Here you can see they will join and then they form water molecule, and this water molecule is called metabolic water. Okay, so when the electrons are being transported along these carriers, energy is released and it is utilized for the synthesis of ATP. Now here in this case you can see if we start with the NAD, it will form 3 ATP, isn't it? If the first molecule is NAD and if the first molecule is FAD or FMN, then only 2 ATP molecules are produced, isn't it? Only 2 molecules of ATP are formed. So this is all about the electron transport system. Now what are the significance of electron transport system? First of all, this generates major amount of energy in the form of ATP, right? Because 34 ATP molecules out of total 38 that is produced by electron transport system. Fine. Then it regenerates oxidized coenzymes. Which coenzymes? Such as NAD and FAD. It also provides water molecule, metabolic water molecule, okay? It also, which is necessary for the Krebs cycle. And the last significance is it releases energy in stepwise manner. So that will prevent the damage of cells. This is all about the significance of electron transport system. Now the last part of this one is balance sheet for ATP during this whole aerobic respiration. Means what is the total outcome, how much ATP we got at the end in the aerobic respiration. Here you can see balance sheet. First one is the glycolysis. We start with the glycolysis, then Krebs cycle, then electron transport system. Fine. Glycolysis, as we already discussed, that there they form the 4 ATP molecules. Fine. And 2 ATP molecules they have utilized in glycolysis. Then in the Krebs cycle, 2 ATP molecules are produced. Fine. And in the next one, here, electron transport. Here I have written NADH2, okay, and FADH2. First of all, you should know that what is this value equal to, that is FADH2 and NADH2. You know this one? So this NADH2, one NADH2 is always equal to 3 ATP and one FADH2 is always equal to 2 ATP. Fine. So here you can see this NADH2. 10 NADH2s are produced. How 10 NADH2? You know that? How this 10 NADH2 means 2 NADH2 from the glycolysis. Among these 10, I am giving the total calculation of the 10 NADH2. That 2 NADH2 from the glycolysis, 2 NADH2 from acetylation and 6 NADH2 from the Krebs cycle. So total 10 NADH2. And I already said that 1 NADH2 is equal to 3 ATP. So here we multiply with the 3, that is the 30 ATP. We have converted NADH2 into ATP. Next is the FADH2. Here we are getting only 2 FADH2, where in the Krebs cycle, fine. And what we will be getting here? Into 2, that is 4 ATP. Now total 30 plus 4, that is a 34 ATP. Clear? So total ATP formed 4 plus 2, this one, 4 plus 2 and plus this 34. Total is 40 ATP. But you know, we have utilized also these 2 ATP in the glycolysis. So this 40 minus 2. So total is the 38 ATP is the outcome of the aerobic respiration. This much amount of ATP we get after the whole aerobic respiration, that includes the glycolysis, then the connecting link is acetylation, then the Krebs cycle, then electron transport system. The total outcome is 38 ATP molecules. So this is the balance sheet for the ATP during this aerobic respiration. Thank you.